What is a real estate closing? In North Carolina, real estate closing refers to completing the process of buying a property. I'm Tiffany Weber, and I am a real estate attorney in Mooresville, North Carolina, and we love putting out videos just like this one to educate you on real estate facts. So even though closing refers to the whole process of buying a property, most people call closing the specific time of day when you go to the attorney's office to sign your closing paperwork. Now, closing involves a lot of effort by all of the parties to the process. During the closing process, your lender is working on making sure that your loan can actually close. So that means underwriters are reviewing all of the information that you provided or should have provided, like your financial information, your employment information, to make sure that you can actually afford to pay the loan back. During this time, the closing attorney is also reviewing the title to the property to make sure that the seller can deliver clean title to the buyer. If not, then the attorney's office is notifying the seller's side of the transaction so that they can work on resolving those title defects. If those defects aren't resolved before the settlement date, which is what the closing time actually is the settlement, then that means the closing whole process is going to be delayed until those problems are resolved. Also, during the closing process, the buyer is undertaking their due diligence. Due diligence means a lot of things, so it can refer to the fee that the buyer pays to get the right to check out the property, but I'm talking about the time period in which the buyer is getting all of their inspections, they're getting their surveys, they're reviewing the property for any repairs that they need made or want to make. And we encourage buyers to take this process very seriously because there's a lot of money on the line and it's a big commitment. And this is your chance to make sure that this is actually the property for you. So after due diligence is done, after the lender has cleared the loan to close and the closing attorney has made sure title is clean as well, then both parties, buyer and seller, will sign their closing paperwork. Now for sellers, they have a lot less to sign usually than the buyer does. So that includes things like the deed, the lien waiver, the marital status affidavit, the non-foreign affidavit, and then any appropriate tax paperwork. Now for buyers, this includes all of the lender's paperwork. So depending on your lender, that could be a little bit or it could be a whole lot. So once the closing documents have been signed by buyer and seller, then the closing attorney's office is going to make sure that all of the money needed for the closing has been wired to the closing attorney's office. So that's the lender's money and the buyer's money. And once all of the money is accounted for, then the deed can be recorded, which everyone loves because then the buyer owns the property, the seller can be paid, and the realtors can be paid. So once all of that is complete, that's when closing is complete. If you're watching this video about what is a closing, that means you're probably newer to the real estate closing process, and I said a lot of words that have important meanings. We have a lot of videos on our channel defining those terms and explaining them in more detail, so make sure you go check out those videos to learn more.